Everybody listen to We're Not Wizards, because we are the best, and we're not wizards, no matter what anybody says. Goodbye.
A Race in Time, History Heroes board game review. This review is based on the final retail version of the game provided to us by the designer and publisher. We're not paid for this review. We give a general overview of the gameplay, and so not all of the mechanical aspects of the game may be mentioned. There's an occasional knock on the door from the outside that reminds us that the realm of modern tabletop is a fairly smallish type of place. Not every game that is out there has come from the marketing zone that is crowdfunding, and not every game is designed by someone who we follow on social media, and more importantly, not every game is going to have a 23-page rulebook, a Rodney Watch It Played, or a Slicker Drips live playthrough. We've become occasionally snobbish in our old age, and we can be easily accused of turning up our nose at something just because it doesn't make our eyes squint when we're trying to learn it. Take A Race in Time from History Heroes. There's a good chance that this review might end up being longer than the rulebook itself. It'd be easier for me to line this up at the end of the street before I take a run up and kick its ass with a running jump, cackling with glee about the simple movement track and the race to the finish. But when you take a step back and look at its intention, then you can be far more forgiving. This isn't a game designed for me to play. It's more like a game designed to help me learn. It's less a pure exercise and throwaway fun, and more an exercise in hoping that some of the knowledge that A Race in Time has will hopefully work its way into my brain as I play. You have a simple aim, which is to get from the dawn of time all the way to the future and the moon by moving your own historical figure along a track through 4 ages. Surprisingly, there's no dice here, which I was kind of expecting as a given, but it shows I'm wrong to expect and assume when the board game track is a curling snake. This is when A Race in Time takes its first sideways step. The player to your right picks up a historical figure card and you decide how many spaces you want to move, to which the player then reads out a fact about a historical character. Guess who it is, and you get to move that number of spaces. Get it wrong, and play passes on to the next player. As you pass along the path, you'll pass into different ages and also pick up event cards that will either affect you or other players. For those struggling with their historical figures, there's a wonderfully illustrated poster that details the different figures and what you're famous for. You probably struggle with some of the lesser known earlier figures, which is why when you first start playing it will come in really handy. It's good to see they've not just taken famous white person route, and there's a cast of diverse characters from different backgrounds and no genocidal Christopher Columbus. To be fair, everything in this game is beautifully illustrated with loving care and attention. It's designed to entice as well as educate, and with that in mind it does well. I would suggest you play the more advanced version from the start if you can. The simpler game is an excellent introduction on how to play how the game is meant to be played. However, you end up collecting historical figures for no real reason. Play the advanced game opens up the interesting final objective, where based on the historical figures that you've collected, you then have to argue why your team is the best fit for the objective. The objective presents a potential world problem that you can argue how you can solve. I can see this being an excellent teaching tool for anyone interested in the history looking to teach it in a fun way. And that's the main thing about A Race in Time. If you're measuring it up against the collection you have on the shelf, it's going to fall short in terms of depth, mechanics, and difficulty. This isn't a game that's going to potentially shine when compared to other simpler family games. This isn't another Go Nuts for Donuts or King Domino. However, when you ask the question whether or not it fulfills the objectives of being an educational game that will work well as a history lesson, be that at home or even in the classroom, then I would argue that in that regard it serves its purpose extremely well. Altogether charming and probably necessary.
A wizard is never late. he early. He arrives precisely when he means to.